Certainly a pleasure to be back for another one of these special Hall of Fame celebrations. And in particular this year, to have the honor of presenting one of Maine and New England's most accomplished racers, Mike Rowe. Well, it all began, or got started, when Mike got behind the wheel for the first time back in the late part of the 1968 season at Oxford Plains. He and three buddies bought a 57 Chevy for $8, $2 a piece. Talk about a meager low dollar start. Perhaps Mike may tell us how he and the guys raised money to fund this first venture. I think you'll agree with me, it's very unique. I hope he does. Well, by the spring, May 1969, Mike hit victory lane for the first time, and he was on his way. He's won features in every year since then, with the exception of one. That's 46 years. And when one reviews Mike Rowe's statistics, it's easy to get the feeling that his records might never be duplicated. I think you'll agree. Here's a quick rundown. 150 wins at Oxford Plains, all but 2 in the top division. 19 open competition wins at Oxford. 7 championships at Oxford Plains, all in the top division. Oxford 250 wins in 3 decades. Now only 2 other drivers have managed to win that prestigious race 3 times, and they are both New England Hall of Famers, Dave Dion and Ralph Nason. And the last one, he won the hard way, winning the last chance race, starting, I think it was 37th on the grid. 8 NASCAR Busch North Series wins, 5 while running a limited schedule from 87 to 89, making him one of the top 3 winningest Busch North drivers of the 80s. In 1990, Mike tackled the series full-time and won the second event of the season, serving notice that he was in the hunt for the championship. However, the loss of his dad caused Mike to miss the 3rd race of the season in Pennsylvania. Although he secured another win and finished runner-up in the standings, had he not had to miss that race, he might well have won the NASCAR Busch North Series championship in that year, while also winning his 7th Pro Stock championship at Oxford Plains that year. Well, the list goes on. A Wiscasset Pro Stock Championship, an American-Canadian Tour Championship with wins at Thunder Road, Senea, Beech Ridge, and Airborne. A Northeast Pro Stock Association NAPSA Championship. A Path South Tour Championship. He's a 3-time Pass Tour 300 winner at Beech Ridge Motor Speedway. He has multiple wins at Scotia Speed World in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He's a 2-time winner of the Atlantic Cat 250 in Canada, and you'll hear more about that a little bit later. He's a 2-time Beech Ridge Pro Series champion and is a 3-time NASCAR Mainstay champion. Now those last races were with the Fowler family racing team, and that last championship, which was in 2013, was of special significance, and I think Mike will probably explain why. Now, in case you lost count, that's 16 championships. He was also voted #1 among the top 25 contributors to racing over the past 25 years of the Northeast Motorsports Expo. Believe it or not, there's more, but enough for statistics. I'd like to take you back to 1981 at the Beech Ridge Motor Speedway, because that's when Mike Rowe really made a believer out of me. Mike and his crew arrived at the Ridge with their Oxford Plains late model, which would now be called the Pro Stock, for the AutoWise 100, which was the biggest event of the season for that division. Now, I knew that Mike was the man to beat at Oxford, where he had already won 4 championships at that point. And I'd watched him routinely hang his car out over that negative camber on the front chute at Oxford that I know many of you have seen, serrated to try to keep competitors off it and thus out of the wall. And I thought again, well, he won't get away with that at Beech Ridge, which also had slope toward the wall if you get off over the edge down the front chute. Now that 100 lapper had been determined to be run in a twin 50 format. And that turned out to be fortunate for Mike, because by lap 50, his asphalt car had literally shaken apart on the rough Beech Ridge dirt. He had lost his brakes, broken a shock, and the windshield had fallen in, cutting his right hand. I think most people would have parked it at that point. Well, after the 15-minute pit stop break, the race resumed with Mike beating out track favorites Jeff Stevens and Dick Wolstenhume. And Wolstenhume, of course, a 10-time track champion. But when the race finished, it was Rowe in victory lane. And by the way, earlier he had won the modified feature that night in Dave Kudamash's backup car. Now, as if that wasn't enough, Mike returned a few weeks later to wheel the Kudamash modified in the Coke 100, which was the marquee event for that division. And there were a lot of heavy hitters in that. That always drew a crowd. One of them is going into the hall and was a great guy at Beech Ridge, and you're going to hear about him later on, and that's Jim Martell. Well, this time he battled 5-time track champion Homer Drew. Better than 50 laps they ran side by side. But once again, when the checkered flag waved, it was Mike Rowe in victory lane. Now, not only that, he also won the regularly scheduled late model feature, again with his asphalt late model that you see that number 5 outside when you came in. That's a nice replica of the car, that asphalt car that he came down to Beech Ridge. So 2 visits to Beech Ridge, 1981. As far as I know, first time there on that unique dirt, and he claims 4 feature wins. Now, in all my years at Beech Ridge, and I have to confess, I've spent a lifetime there, over 50 years, I had seen a number of great drivers come in and struggle on that dirt, particularly on their first visit. And I know many of you know what I'm talking about. We have a number of great drivers in the Ridge who visited the Ridge over the years. So what I'd seen Mike Rowe accomplish had simply never been done before. Now, since those early years at Oxford and Beech Ridge, I've had the opportunity to see Mike race from Maine to Florida while announcing past tour races and traveling down south. He has continued to demonstrate a keen ability to adapt quickly to a variety of tracks and run up front at virtually any venue. Now, when talking with a number of individuals who have witnessed Mike's career, there's a common theme. They say such things as, he's determined, versatile, intense, has great stamina. He'll race you the way you race him, from several great drivers. No one drives deeper into the corners from a couple of car owners that I know well. He makes whatever he sits in faster, one of several comments I got from Ricky Craven. He raises the level of competition. He is truly a legend. He's humble and quick to give back. So there is a softer side of Mike Rowe. I'll mention one of several examples. I mentioned the Atlantic Cat 250, which is a very prestigious race in Canada. The Grand Marshal at one of those was a boy who was there through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Well, Mike won the big race, but he chose to make the day all about the boy, even to the extent of giving the youngster the winner's trophy. Well, clearly, it's difficult to fully capture such an amazing career, which still continues, still racing full-time. And I believe it's fair to say that Mike would be on everybody's short list of the best drivers ever out of New England. With that, I'll just add that Mike was honored with induction into the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame last April. And at this time, please join me in welcoming Mike Rowe forward to accept his induction into the New England Auto Racers Hall of Fame.
He's a better talker than me. I just try to get him to speak with me, but he won't. But I'm just going to make it real quick, because he did a great job, and really nothing else I can cover. I would mention about the 57 Chevy, though. When we first got started, he was right. There was 4 of us that got involved with it. We had no money to get going. So one of the guys came up with an idea. He says, hey, look, we got a guy up here who wants a husk barn cleaned out. So we go up there and clean husk manure to get tires for the car. You see anybody, the young fellas, do that today? And another thing, you know, like he was talking about little Brian, man, that was just great. You could have given that kid $1 million, and you know, he just loved it. But we gave him a ride in the race car, and it was just great to do that. We was up there driving for Steve Perry, which we're going to run some more for him. I'll make this short and sweet. Nice to see Dollar, Tom here from ACT. Great to see you. Back in 2009, I was driving for Dickie Fowler. We won that championship he mentioned, and you know, probably the highlight of my career, I don't know if I can say this, is we lost Jason, his son, in a car accident. And he called me up and wanted to know if I'd run the 2013. And we won that championship for him. It was awesome. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and congratulating all the inductees. Thank you.